Hello, this is going to be a reading vlog of Charles Dickens' The Old Curiosity Shop. Will be my third Charles Dickens. I have read from him Great Expectations, absolutely loved it. Also read A Christmas Carol. I feel like everyone knows the story of Christmas Carol, loved that as well. But for Tay Book Club, the book club I run on this channel, for January we'll be reading The Old Curiosity Shop. And I wanted a book that was like a long, slow classic where you could get cozy because in England it's so cold in January. And it has snowed. If you can see outside, it has snowed. It's given me the most perfect reading weather. I'm so excited to read this in January. I've already started some of it and it's quite depressing, quite miserable, very Charles Dickens. Everyone's a little bit of a villain. So you have this girl called Nell. She's 14 years old. She lives with her grandfather and her grandfather runs a curiosity shop. And when the story begins, someone who we don't know who it is sees Nell in the street and he's a man and she says, "Can you help me back to my house? I've got lost." So he takes her back to her house and she's really concerned that this 14-year-old girl who's very beautiful is just roaming the, Dickensian streets at night with all the villains out and she's so vulnerable and her grandfather doesn't seem to care. You then have one of the worst characters, the villain of all villains, and that is Quip. Quip is such an evil, hideous creature. So I'm going to read some more of this. I love this bit about childhood and don't grow up children too quickly. It always grieves me to contemplate the initiation of children into the ways of life when they are scarcely more than infants. It checks their confidence and simplicity, two of the best qualities that heaven gives them, and demands that they share our sorrows before they are capable of entering our enjoyments. I'm really enjoying this so far. I am on page 65. I'm now going to go and bake some banana bread. The recipe that I'm using is actually on this YouTube channel. It is banana bread recipe in 1 minute and it's just easy to use because I don't know the ingredients off by heart and this video is only 1 minute, so I can just play it. And then it is just one of those recipes where you just throw everything in the bowl, throw it in a baking tin, just shove it in the oven for an hour. On page 80 and I'm still really enjoying it. It hasn't really moved on in the plot. Basically there was a bit of a love interest, that's gone. There was a dance, that was a fun bit within it, but it hasn't moved on. The main plot hasn't really moved much since I last picked up the camera, but I'm gonna hopefully read a nice chunk of this now. I'm on page 80 and I've worked out that if I read 30 pages a day, then that will take me 18 days to read this, and I think that's quite achievable. Yesterday I read 2 pages so it's not that achievable at the moment. I'm on page 100 and I am really enjoying it. There's been a lot of peril, a lot of, is Nell going to be by herself, is her granddad going to be okay because he's fallen ill, and then there's more villainous characters being added. There's Mr. Brass, who's a villainous character who's been put amongst the story. I'm still really enjoying the Old Curiosity Shop. I'm actually going to the woods today and so I will show you some of that little woodland adventure. Hopefully, I've never been to this woods before, so we'll see what it's like. cabbage, gravy. This is parsnips and carrots in honey. We then have roast potatoes, we have cauliflower cheese, we have stuffing. My favourite part is always stuffing, cauliflower cheese. I don't know if you can hear me because my house is quite loud. I've got the distiller going, I've got the washing machine and the dryer going, but I'm on page 170 now of the old Curiosity Shop. I'm just in my kitchen, I'm cooking my toddler Halloween pasta. It's like Halloween shapes, it's actually very cute. Little pumpkin. There are certain scenes that I'm like the dance scene, one of them has a love interest and then her other love interest turns up. They are just travelling around in it at the moment. It's like poverty, destitution, where are they going to end up, going from inn to inn in the countryside. They've lost their house now. And then it also flits to Kit and what's going on with Kit, because he's trying to look for work, because now that Nell and her grandfather have left to the countryside to basically just beg, and then as much money as they have, they like spend on staying in inns or staying in barns. They're completely homeless, completely destitute. And Kit kind of is too. He lives with his mother and his siblings, but the Nell's grandfather employed him, so now that he's left, Kit is desperately trying to find employment and really worried about where Nell is. I've nearly finished my tapestry, which I'm going to turn into a cushion. It's autumn leaves, acorn, but I just have this tiny little bit left. So I've got a bit of this leaf, and then a load of here, the black outer bits. There's like some more down here that I've got to do, but I've nearly finished it. I feel emotional finishing it. This has taken me 2 years. I've basically given up on this for like months and then come back to it and then given up on it again and everything, but I'm really glad to have done it. And this, I'm going to turn it into a cushion because I want all my cushions in my house, I've made them myself. That might sound a little bizarre, but I just do. I just want all my cushion covers to be homemade. So I've done a hoop and loop one. My mum did an elephant tapestry, which is so gorgeous. That's cushion one. And then my mum did me a Frida Kahlo cushion, an Alice in Wonderland cushion. I've got some fabric to do myself, a Frida Kahlo cushion. I've never used a sewing machine, but my mum is giving me one because she already has it, and so she's like very good at dressmaking, and she has a spare one, so she's bringing it over to me and going to show me how to use it. But I don't know if I will get along with a sewing machine. I'm kind of like intimidated by it. I don't know if it's going to work for me, but if it is, think of all the cushions I can make. I just love cushions, and when we moved I got rid of all my cushions because they were all old, you know, and they're like falling apart, and then I decided I'm not going to buy any new ones. I'm going to make them all. So this is going to be one of them that I've made, and then you can really choose like what style you want and everything. And I have some gorgeous Frida Kahlo fabric that I want to make into one. So yeah, I'm going to finish this off tonight. I have the tiniest little there, like scrap little bit to do. This will probably take me 40 minutes. Like, I'm so slow at tapestries because I thought it was a cross stitch, and then you all said, oh no, that's a tapestry, and it's like really thick wool. So it is a tapestry. So I'm gonna do that and hopefully finish it tonight. I've read another big chunk of the old Curiosity Shop, and I'm a bit bored. to be honest with you. So I think I'm definitely going to finish it this month because I chose it for the Tay Book Club, but I just need to get away from the book a bit, refresh with another book. So I'm going to finish off another book first. So I'm going to read We'll Prescribe You a Cat. I've nearly finished this. I've only got that little like slither left to read. And I started this in the summer. We're now in the depths of winter. I abandoned it. It's about people go to this therapy place. They don't really know what to expect. And then when they get there, they get prescribed a cat. And the cat is prescribed to them and somehow is going to change their life, change their problems. It's magical realism. But it's not magical realism as in the cats are talking or anything like that. It's very subtle magical realism. No like cats dressed up talking, nothing like that. But you know the person, what they think their problem is, and because they've told the therapist, but stuff comes out. So then you realise, oh wait, their problem isn't that. They think it is, but it isn't. It's something else. I'm on the last one where the woman is a geisha. She has got a cat that was basically abused, and the doctor said, you're not going to have this cat for very long because it's very ill and everything, and now the cat's gone missing. On Great Expectations, I think I know where it's going. So Kit has kind of made his fortune. He was looking after someone's horse and they said, why don't you come and live with us and work for us? So that is him making his fortune out of poverty. I could have cut out all the bit with the Punch and Judy people. I wasn't that interested in that. Some with Kit, I could have taken some of that out as well. But we're trotting along. I'll tell you what page I'm on. I'm on page 186 now, and we're just trotting along. Me and Bear are going to make these Disney cupcakes. The top of the box you can make into a bookmark. Here is what comes in it to make, and then these little cases. And these, and it's got Mulan. So many things don't have Mulan in it. Mulan, Jasmine, they're all Tiana. We have stirred up the mix. We now just have to put it in its cases and then in the oven. Ready to be baked. The buttercream ice king is done, and then you just put these on top, and they also give you sprinkles. But I'm going to be optimistic and use this bag to cut a hole in it and try and like pipe it into some kind of swirl like these. Just going to pop the icing in the fridge. Here is the cake. And my icing is in the bag. And I'm just going to try see if this will work. Okay, wish me luck. Oh, 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 oh dear. Okay, I'm ready again. I've got it all in the bag. Okay. Oh my god, it's coming out of a different hole. No, it's coming out of two holes. No. Oh dear. Maybe just swirls. Just swirls like that. Maybe. Let's try it like that. That was an absolute failure. With this, I'm just going to do this and then let my toddler decorate them. This is my tapestry, finally finished. My autumn leaf tapestry. I'm so happy that I finally finished this. I have not updated you for a bit on my reading of The Old Curiosity Shop by Charles Dickens. I'm currently on page 355, which is chapter 47. There's over 70 chapters in this book, so I'm kind of near done, I feel, though, because look, you can see, like, I just got this slither left, but this book was originally serialized. It was only 45 issues in the magazine, so it wasn't like a chapter per week, but it was in Charles Dickens' own magazine, and it makes sense that it's just quite rambly. It reads like a series of installments, short stories. What's Nell and her grandfather doing? Obviously we have Quill who's trying to track them down. We have other characters who seem to now want to track down Nell and her grandfather, and we don't know why, but you can kind of paste it together and guess who certain characters are. It's miserable. everyone's miserable, everyone's in poverty, everyone's in peril. But there's something just very interesting in it, all the different characters, different people's lives. I loved when Nell and her grandfather were with the waxwork woman. I loved all of that. I loved that woman so much, Miss Yardley. I love Kit. I love Kit's mum within it. I obviously love Nell within it as well. Hate her grandfather who's gambled away all their money. We're in February now. Oh my god, that's taken me so long to read it. What are we now? We're 8th of February and I'm still reading it. I could not get it finished in 1 month. So I think in the next few days I'll probably finish it. Just finished The Old Curiosity Shop. I would say the last chapter, chapter 73, could have been cut. That was just summarising everyone's situations and I didn't really care too much. I think chapter 72, if it had ended there, perfect ending. There were moments in the book that I was very bored. I'm not going to say what happens at the end because I don't want to spoil it, but the end is fantastic. I think the end happens as it's supposed to happen. I actually think the ending is like great of this book, apart from chapter 73, which is the last chapter. Would have just knocked that off, didn't really need it. But from chapter 72 being the end, yeah, I thought it was a great ending and a very realistic ending to the book. I think many of us also, like if you're in English society, the majority of us wouldn't have been living in a Jane Austen novel or in Bridgerton or Downton Abbey. We would have been living more Kit's life in this one because the majority of people in England at that time wouldn't have been of gentry. They would have been living in poverty, working in poorhouses, and so we would have been more like Kit and his mother. And so I loved that they followed Kit and his mother, because sometimes in other books it's like interesting, obviously with Jane Austen and women who have like titles and stuff like that. It's interesting to read, but we know like it wouldn't have been, our ancestors would never have lived that kind of life at all. So it's just a complete kind of almost like fairy tale fantasy life. But with this, and with Dickens in general, he really does like talk about the working classes and their struggle, and how someone who has like a slither more education is just respected so much more, and someone who has like a tiny bit more money is just respected so much more within society, which is still our society now. It hasn't changed since then. Like if you've been privately educated in England, that will give you, you can be on TV, you can be in government, you can be in so many other places. Whereas if you have, like myself and like the majority of people in England, just been to a government run school, then it's like, yeah, you had that kind of education. And so I did think this book, to do with like class and the different, because it's like a lawyer, and then obviously there's Kit, and then there's like Quip, who he's not of education but he has money, and so there's different levels to it, and how that's still the case now. Like Kit and his mum should have more and are so nice and so just, yet they don't, and they're continually being like pushed down by other people and scared and wary of other people. And then when Kit comes into his fortune, he can finally stand up for himself because he has a little bit of money now, so he can finally stand up to certain people and fight back. But then it's still kind of not enough because he gets arrested in it. It's still not enough because like the word of someone who's been educated like a lawyer has, they can literally say anything and then you're in prison. And I found that depressing, because I was like, oh, that's still our society now though, that like a lot of working class people aren't respected, and like upper class people think they can kind of do whatever they want to them, and that is still going on now within society. Obviously it's much better than when it was back then, but I thought it was great. I thought the book was great. I did get bored, I'll be honest. There were a few chapters when it was about other people, not Nell and her grandfather. I started audiobooking those chapters, just a free audiobook on YouTube that did it chapter by chapter. So those chapters I was just audiobooking them because I wasn't too interested. Like there was a lot about you know, Mr. Brass and Swiveller and Quip, and I get all these different people's stories. I just wasn't as interested in their stories as Nell and her grandfather's. I just felt when Dickens wrote those bit, he really went into like the human condition and humans like on this planet, the emotions we feel. He just went deeper into the human emotion. When he was talking about the other people, it was a bit more, he goes there, da da da, they're scheming, they're doing this, da da da. It just wasn't as, I don't know, like philosophical. as Nell and her grandfather's moments are within it. I did tab some moments. I loved the bit when Kit got some money and he took his mother and Barbara's mother and Barbara to the theatre, and then they all had oysters afterwards, and took Kit's younger siblings as well. Loved that, because they're all from poverty. So I loved when he got a little bit of money and he treated them all. I thought the bit at the end that was about grief was so good, that like grief is, the blankness of grief is actually the worst. The worst bit when you're grieving someone isn't the like screaming and upset, it's them just not being there and you having to carry on, and that every room is like their things are a monument to them. Every room is just depressing that they've ever been in because they're not there, and that's actually the worst thing of grief. It isn't the initial grief, it's the grief of you just have to carry on when they're not there. This bit when it's talking about the blank that follows death is actually the worst thing about death, is that they're just not there, and that's when you realize you're not going to see them again. That's the worst thing of death. The weary void, when something familiar, beloved, is missed at every turn. Inanimate and senseless things, and the object of recollection, when every household god becomes a monument and every room a grave. I thought that was so beautiful. It went on longer than that, and I like did the whole thing. I thought it was such a gorgeous thing talking about grief, because I 100% agree with that. Some of the chapters I could have done without, to be perfectly honest with you, because I wasn't as interested in them as the other people, but I thought it was also haunting. There were like almost horror elements within it. Like when Nell's grandfather steals from her, I thought that was like horror. I thought a lot of Quip early on was horror, with him and his wife and intimidating her, and the way it was written in such detail was so chilling. I feel a bit stunned by the end, to be honest. Like if you read it, you'll be like, oh yeah, like I think it was a great end. I think that was the perfect way to end the book. But yeah, wow. But I also felt stunned with the bit with the school teacher as well. I was like, whoa, okay. But fantastic, really great read. I think now knowing the end, I definitely would like to reread this one day. And when I was reading it, I'll be honest, like I was thinking, I don't think I want to reread this again. Like with Great Expectations, I really do want to reread that again. But with this, I was thinking, I don't know, because it's kind of quite slow and quite boring. I think I would just skip certain chapters because I know what's going on at the end now. But some of it would be so much better now knowing the end. Also, I don't get the cover at all. So the cover is these dogs dressed up, and they're like in the book for 2 seconds. Is that when Nell and her grandfather are on the road, they see this man who has dogs dressed up, and it's always like a circus trick because people are begging in different ways. So someone's begging with a Punch and Judy show, someone else has dressed their dogs up and they're begging, circus people, someone on stilts is begging with stilts, and so this man is using dogs but it's not a big part of the story. It's really not. So I think to put it on the cover is a bit ridiculous. I think Nell on the cover would have been much better. I found the illustrations, these are the original illustrations, quite grotesque. Everyone was grotesque apart from Nell. But everyone else is like these really fine line sketches. Everyone else was really ugly, really ugly, really gross looking, and then Nell was like the perfect angel among them. And Kit, they did Kit dirty. Kit was like really ugly in the illustrations, which Dickens did say a thing like he wasn't that good looking, Kit, like he wasn't that handsome, but that doesn't mean he was like grotesque and ugly. But here are some of the sketches. So I didn't love the sketches within it, to be honest with people, because I had pictured them differently in my head as well, and I don't know why on earth they put this as the cover. There are so many other things. I think they should have put a picture of the church that's at the end. This is what I would have put at the front cover. It's the illustration. You could have just done this outline of this church that's got all kind of moss on it and everything, and that could have been it. And that would have been, I think, a much better cover than these dressed up dogs. Anyway, I'm going to end this here. Tell me what you thought of the Old Curiosity Shop. If you read it, let me know. And I'm going to be doing a review of it and reading out your reviews as well. So if there's anything, if you've read the Old Curiosity Shop this month, or any time of your life you want me to read out any comments, then just leave them down below. And I will when I'm doing my review. It's a difficult one to sum up because I did find some of it very, very slow, but then I think the end is genius. And I really loved elements within it, like really loved them. So it's a difficult one. I need to like ponder on it, and a few days time, like think like, oh, what do you think about this, and go back. I wrote a load of notes. Here you go. This was a bit much, but I wrote just all these kind of plot points and my opinions on it throughout, and favourite scenes and stuff like that, like favourite scenes I'd like to go back to, so different chapters. I loved chapter 25 and chapter 39, so like favourite chapters, just so if I want to reread it, I can like go to those chapters as well. Anyway, I'm going to end it here. Leave me some comments, please, if you've read this book, and then I can read them in my review video. So leave them down below and tell me what you thought of the book. And I will, happy Valentine's Day, it's Valentine's Day today. And I will see you again soon for another video.